This is the climax of the annual global event, countries giving their national statements, and it's the turn of Nigeria.
Process of corruption.
Vice President Kashim Shettima standing in for President Bola Tinubu with a well-scripted national statement and a rich content focusing on contemporary global challenges and practical recommendations. First, Nigeria reminded the world leaders that the United Nations stands for inclusiveness anchored on the tripod of peace, sustainable development, and human rights.
Addressing the root causes of conflict is often the first step towards providing long-term solutions. Clearly, some of the root causes of conflict are social in nature, including poverty, hunger, ignorance, inequality, and exclusion, as well as other forms of injustice.
Expressing worry about the main objectives of the United Nations and how it could sustain the global body's relevance and resilience, lamenting the return of unconstitutional changes of government in some African countries.
Conflict resolution is the main reason why the UN exists, but the task of prevention becomes all the more difficult when conflict becomes normalized, when even the condemnation of violence and civilian casualties and calls for a ceasefire are somehow regarded as controversial. As we emphasize at the Abuja high-level ministerial meeting, we must renew our focus on conflict prevention.
Calling for reforms in the international financial architecture and a transparent multilateral trading system, hoping the adoption of the Pact for the Future will change the narrative, asking the UN to prioritize debt forgiveness for Nigeria and other developing countries from creditors and multilateral financial institutions.
Climate change is a driver of insecurity, which also poses a veritable challenge to sustainable development. A few weeks ago, large areas of my country were inundated by seasonal flood waters, including one of our largest cities, Maiduguri, in the northeast. Other parts of Nigeria also experienced similar tragedies, occasioning the loss of lives and property. We need not remind ourselves to remain faithful to the implementation of the commitments that we all gave voluntarily at the various COP meetings. Failure to do so is merely to postpone the inevitable. No country is immune from the effects of climate change.
Other world leaders at the session made statements aimed at addressing global concerns.
I stand before you in these whirlwinds, convinced of two overriding truths. First, the state of our world is unsustainable. We can't go on like this. And second, the challenges we face are solvable. But that requires us to make sure the mechanisms of international problem solving actually solve problems.
It is time to invest more in building trust and practicing dialogue. Constant dialogue is a powerful weapon for all governments have in their hands.
Today, the United States and Vietnam are partners and friends. And it's proof that even from the horrors of war, there's a way forward. Things can get better.
The Nigeria's statement insisted on bold reforms in the United Nations Security Council with a view to giving Nigeria and other African countries permanent seats at the Council.